Nothing better than to start Monday morning with an administrator. So, again, want to welcome you all here, old friends and new. If your first time to Woods Hole Oceanographic, enjoy your stay here. If you've been here before, also enjoy your stay. It's interesting, I couldn't be here last year because I was moving from a rental house back to Meteor House, which is up the hill here. And as part of the packing and unpacking, I found my big green binder that said GOFS on it, U.S. Global Ocean Flux Study, before it became JGOFS. And in that book has all the minutes of the Science Steering Committee starting in 1986, and they were talking about the North Atlantic process study, but a lot of the interesting things were to look at some of the science that we're still working on, some of the questions about looking at the role of zooplankton or upper ocean processes, but then there were a lot of soap opera about were we going to have an ocean color satellite, so sometimes things never change. But John Martin was appointed to look at midwater transformations, i.e. the mesopelagic or twilight zone, which now is underway. So that's a good thing to say. But Pete Umars was tasked to look at, do we need to even worry about the coastal ocean in the carbon cycle? So there was a lot of things that we're still struggling with, but it's interesting to look at the agenda for this meeting to see a lot of the new ideas, the role of genetics, the role of shifting ecosystems and structure on carbon cycling, which was just sort of starting back then. I can remember there was a certain eminent scientist who said, don't let those ecologists in. It's all just just geochemistry. Don't need any of that bio stuff. But really, it's exciting to see a lot of new faces here that are looking at the role of the ocean in carbon cycling, how it couples with atmospheric processes, eventually with land. It's really an exciting time to see, and I think you'll have a great meeting and agenda, and welcome. So thank you, Heather.
Indeed, they let the ecologists in, and dare I say the molecular biologists in. Good morning, everybody. I hope you're doing well, and I'd like to welcome you on behalf of the Ocean and Carbon Biogeochemistry Steering Committee to our 2018 summer workshop. And this workshop wouldn't happen without a few really key people. So I'd like to thank Heather Benway, the Executive Officer of OCB, Mary Zawalski, who is instrumental in helping put this together, and May Mahegan, who was introduced last year as the OCB Communications Officer, so this is sort of an anniversary for her as part of OCB, but if you'll notice how awesome our website and communication has become, it's thanks to the addition of May to the OCB office. I can't thank our session organizers enough, so various people from the steering community and just the OCB community writ large step up to organize sessions, and I'm super excited about the content of this year's meeting. I think it looks fantastic. So these sessions in this meeting in terms of the content wouldn't happen without people planning and the session organizers. And I really want to give everybody in the audience a big thanks, particularly ahead of time. A lot of the content for the sessions and ideas comes from our survey or conversations that we have over the course of the week. So please put your thinking caps on, and if you think something needs to be highlighted for next year's workshop, we listen and we try to respond to that, those inputs, and it leads to very exciting scientific programming. We also wouldn't be here without our key supporting organizations. OCB is a partnership between NSF and NASA, and the funding supports this office. And the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution has just been fantastic as a home for this meeting. I think we all look forward to coming here and interacting in such a nice place. So I'm going to give you a very, very quick tour. I know you can all read, but I just wanted to give you a little roadmap for what the week is going to look like. So in a few minutes, we're going to start our first session this morning on evolutionary insights on marine organisms and their response to climate change. Then today's afternoon is a little bit different. I just kind of wanted to highlight that because we do move between campuses for the poster session, but we'll have lunch. You'll hear from our student community and postdoc community short talks highlighting what's going to be shown later in the poster. And in between that, we'll have updates from our federal agencies. On Tuesday, we are going to have sprinkled throughout the morning short topics of interest, and then we will have a session on phytoplankton and their physiological engines of biogeochemical models. So we'll give you a teaser today with the last talk in the session this morning, and that'll lead nicely into some of the discussion tomorrow morning. Oops, I didn't realize that was animated in as community updates. Tuesday afternoon, we're going to move into the world of microzooplankton. So again, it's a slightly larger trophic level, and we'll be talking about how these key organisms move carbon through the food web. And then there's a coffee and a networking session that's here on this campus. On Wednesday, we get bipolar. We'll be talking about the Arctic and Antarctic. So this session for both of these ecosystems is going to take up most of the day. We get started a little later Wednesday morning. Prior to that, there's a tour of the mass spec facility at WHOI for those of you who signed up in advance. And then we'll have some free time later in the afternoon. For those students and postdocs in the audience, during the afternoon time is a really great opportunity for you to network with our agency representatives that come to this meeting. It's very well attended by our federal agency. So I can't encourage you guys enough to block out some time for this to be able to speak to them about the future of oceanography and funding in oceanography. And then we have our awesome workshop dinner. I think everybody in the room knows how great the food is going to be this week. And then Thursday, we're going to be talking about long-term ecological monitoring programs. And then we'll adjourn the meeting right before lunch and feed you before you're on your way. So with that, I would like to turn over the podium to Heather, who's also going to talk to you a little bit about OCB. Thank you.